Welcome, folks, to another awesome first day launch live stream for Deadlands Dark Ages. I was a little bit of meta, a little bit of fantasy, just like Deadlands Dark Ages. And you all have knocked it out of the park on and showing us the love for a first day stream. We are, I think, maybe even during this stream, we will surpass 100K first day. That's pretty amazing. We are in the 90s. I haven't had a moment to glance at it in a bit, but it's approaching. How many backers are we approaching, guys?
848 backers.
Oh,
We're
jeez.
$100 short of 100,000.
Oh, look at that. Thank you, folks. So we will hit that before the end of the stream. Thank you. John Goff sends his love. He's having his teeth drilled right now, so can't make it on stream, but he did want to express it. He is very appreciative of all the love you've shown. Yet another knockout, standout, through the roof, John Goff plus Deadlands project. And this one was a long time in the making, guys. So how long was it?
Well, John Goff says 2016, but the contract I signed says 2019. I just looked it up.
So it took him 3 years to wrangle you down, guys. Nice.
Yeah, we may have been
lost in the mists of time.
Not as long as Doomguard.
So why don't we start there? So we had some nice rock and fantasy music to start with, and this is Deadlands plus Dark Ages. Where does it fit on the meter between historical fantasy, weirdness, horror? Where does it fit in that kind of large milieu?
What a great question, Chris.
Thanks, Dave. I'm so glad you asked me to ask it.
Yeah. So Goff, as always, we want to be history plus, right? It's like the veneer of history, but we're going to tell you the things you didn't know about. Now, there's some exceptions like the Great Maze and that kind of thing. But generally, we like to be, I was a history major. I think Simon was too. But we're all history buffs, if not. Yeah. You were too? Okay, great. And it means a lot to us. So for Dark Ages, we stuck to the technology, the garb, the buildings of the time. And Simon can give you an hour-long lecture about belt buckles.
And has.
And then we changed it, but not today. But we altered it where it was interesting, right? So, for example, we have a druid archetype in here. Druids are long gone in the time period we're at by a couple of hundred years, but they were an important mix to the party and the way things functioned, and they're an important mix to the story we wanted to tell. So we've added a secret order of druids that have continued on to this day. And you'll see some of that. We have the next couple of books planned for this already. You're going to see more of their story be told. Same thing with knights. So knights aren't really a thing yet, but we took a lot of influence from Excalibur, the movie. So we don't use the term knight a lot. We do use it a few places. We tell you that it's not really a term in use yet. Neither is the term Vikings, but we say Vikings as well. So where things are in common use, or it'll just make a whole lot more sense. Occasionally we do use them, but we stick pretty darn close to history, from John Goff's original manuscript up through playtests and even the development of this super cool terrain you see. Simon and Daryl and an artist named Jonathan Taylor were super picky about what they look like, how they go together, etc. They can talk more about that if they want. So it is grounded in history, just like Deadlands: The Weird West, and then we layer on the fun stuff we think will make a great game.
Yeah,
well, excellent.
And the things that you can do that won't get you burned at the stake, anytime you walk into a village, So that can be a problem. We're like, all right, wait, how do we do magic and not get cast out as Satanists like every 5 minutes? It's like, there's a way. We just have to push it a little bit.
Yeah, and it's especially important in the plot point campaign that's in the core book, because as you'll find out pretty quickly, you're going to be working for King Alfred, who's very pious. And so, hucksters have the same problem in Deadlands. They can't just run around casting spells, or the local authorities might haul them away. But it's a little different there because, they got to prove it. You're usually a little more isolated because it's the West, et cetera. But here, in a small village, and where a thane or a lord has complete control, it's a little different feel. So you got to be a little more careful.
Yeah. So you mentioned the terrain. That's a brand new thing for us. So let's kick it off there. I think the Daryl and crew, like Daryl and Donald and our kind of a convention crew, not this Gen Con, but last Gen Con, ran dozens and dozens of Deadlands Dark Ages demos, and they were great feedback from fans. But Daryl to find some really cool terrain to use for that. And I think we kind of came to the conclusion that it wouldn't feel the same if we didn't include some cool terrain with this. So why don't Daryl and Simon, how did you guys come up with this terrain? How's it going to work? What are the benefits? All that good stuff.
Yeah, it was fun. Like the original stuff we just bought off the shelf because it was really cool. And it was like not exactly period accurate, but kind of close enough to where most people, it's not going to matter to. It's like, well, okay, this is actually Danish, not English, like they built different. We did different things. Like we don't have castles, in Britain at this time. We've got piles of rocks and stuff left over from Rome. Like that's it, but like just having that on the table, especially using our own pawns, like our own stuff, and it mixed so well with over-the-counter things that we're like, oh, we've got the technology. Like, why don't we do this? And this is one of those, we would have never done it ourselves, but Shane, has the insanity and vision to be like, well, we should just do it. And we're like, that sounds hard. And he's like, well, just do it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's how it happened.
I mean, it kind of is, right? We did just.
I think for Dark Ages, so much of the action takes place in the wilderness or in some kind of Saxon village. It was a no-brainer that we need a Saxon village, and so that was kind of the pawns look great, but more 3D terrain just adds to that kind of feeling of the game being alive and the world being alive. So it was a big driver. And then Daryl and I both went off and made a sample and took the best pieces of each of the samples.
Our arts and crafts project.
And we did not use either of us as artists. So
correct, yeah.
Well,
a key ingredient to how good it looks.
We had a terrain off one night at our playtest game. It's like a dance off, except no dancing.
Yeah,
Daryl's looked way better than mine, but mine didn't fall apart as quickly.
Yeah, serious, fun, FastForge, Footloose is what I'm hearing.
I'll tell you what, we've learned more about Waddle and Dob than I ever thought I would.
Watch your mouth, Shane. They're children.
History, folks.
So
what's cool though? So Daryl and Simon made this terrain, but Daryl made a creepy tree because we have creepy trees in this thing, and that creepy tree was on every battlefield we went on for the next few sessions until it finally, bless its heart, fell apart.
Yeah. It was not built to last.
Oh my God. Well, I love that the creepy tree does. Sorry for scrolling fast. I know it gives Shane vertigo. The creepy tree is on the cover. There it is. Creepy tree. Cover of the box.
No, it's John Taylor's creepy tree, and Simon gave him like the art direction, which so it's a little different from mine, but it gets that's like you feel like you're in the Dark Ages when you're surrounded by stuff that feels like the forest is going to reach out and grab you.
Yep. And this is an important point, and we need to bring this out on the page more too. This isn't all that's in the set. So we didn't want to just make buildings, trees, and leave it at that. We've got, we're still working on what all's going to fit on the sheet, but we've got little hanged villagers you can put on those trees. We're going to add some other stuff that you can put around the village for flavor because, there are plenty of places you can buy terrain. We want it to reflect Pinnacle's terrain.
Yeah.
Right. So when we do this, when we do a Deadlands set, we want it, we want you to grin when you look at it and go, oh my gosh, I got to have that, right? Because it's going to be fun and cool and not just a building. It's going to be a building that you can put some fire on or, we'll have a broken wall through and the tree has a face in it, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It really sets the mood and makes you feel like, oh yeah, this is the Dark Ages. And when someone says early medieval, you're like, no, look at those bodies. This is the Dark Ages.
Right.
The staff is way too excited about the fire tokens. I'm just going to put that out there. Setting stuff on fire. I think it's carried over from the Doomguard board game where we unlocked Mantle, who sets everything on fire. We're like, we should be able to set everything on fire in Dark Ages too.
Look, man,
so.
fire and sharks.
So we had a fire very early on in one of our games. And if you follow the official Savage Worlds Facebook group, I post pictures from our playtest every Wednesday night. But one of our buddies who plays with us is Mike Kahn, and he's got a little light thing with an orange light on it. So we put that behind the buildings when the fires break out, and they seem to break out a lot.
Everything is very flammable.
Yeah.
So,
Tracy.
Yeah, hi, John. So we've got really great feedback about our punchboard pawns. They're full color art front and back. They're very sturdy. They've got a gloss to them, so they're very durable. And these are the same material. We're using the punchboard. And where are we? I mean, there are some people who take terrain and it's like it takes 6 months to build and paint, and you can't tear it down ever, and it has to just like live in its own garage. And then there's like really flimsy stuff. Like, where are we going for this? Like, how fast do we? We call it FastForge. So is this something you can build same day or on the spur of the moment, or like during a bathroom break during your game? Like, where are we aiming for this terrain?
So one of the key goals was that it was easy to put together and quick to take apart. It was easy to store. You could move it around. It wasn't something that it was like once it's up, it's staying up, or it's so fiddly to put together that you don't want to tear it down. So the aim is like the roof is just 2 pieces. There's just 4 bits for the walls, and they clip together pretty quickly. It's all cardboard, so there's no kind of plastic bits you got to fiddle with. So the aim is, we've still got a lot of prototyping to do, but the aim is it'll be quick put together, easy to take apart, and easy to store.
Well, and when you take the roof off, you can play on the inside too, right?
Yeah.
We didn't want you to have to also put down a 3-foot battle map that you didn't have to line everything up on. So each floor plan has its own base, and then the base is reversible. Yeah. So, like for example, you might find it's just like a rough floor of a hut on one side. You flip it over, and it's all corpses and grizzly on the other side. Right. So you can there'll be variety of choices that you can use when you're making the buildings.
Yeah, and so it's like a 3-stage thing where you're like, all right, look, we're just doing flat maps or whatever. You can throw those floors out. There's your buildings, right? You've got a village. And then like, oh, you got, 30 seconds. You snap the walls together, throw the roof on. Now it's covered. And if you want to pop the roof off and run inside and outside, great. And if there's more action than that, because the other thing that we found a lot is running through the walls, because it's just waddle and daub. Like once that starts happening, it's like, all right, let's just take that away. We've got the outline to show you where things are, but you can be moving through and attacking through.
Yeah, these walls don't provide the cover you might expect.
Yes, something to surprise your players with, everyone.
Right. So so where do people find the terrain? Like, what pledge levels have it? What pieces are where? How do they get their hands on the goodness?
So any pledge level that's got the accessories box has a taster, right? The two small houses, 1 haunted tree, which also doubles as a fallen god pawn. Like, you can kind of go either way with that, right? And that's mostly because we don't expect everyone to want the village set, the cursed village, but here's a little bit, and it's enough to get you through a lot of small encounters, and also to be like, oh man, this is pretty cool, right? And then there's the cursed village set, which has got more buildings, the full, one of the few rock buildings that you get, like the priory, more trees, and lets you populate that whole village, mix and match, buy 2, you're going to want them all. You can have a town.
Nice. So if you're just in for the accessories box, you get a taste, and then the cursed village set is even more. So
yes.
If we're sending you boxes, they'll have good stuff in them, and so we envision this as kind of the start of a whole new line of accessories and inclusions for this. And I think one of the most popular comments is, when do we get it for Deadlands? So we've got a lot coming. So next year, guys and gals and everybody in between, is the 30th anniversary of Deadlands, and we have a ton of Deadlands coming for you. We've got an in-person event at the end of the year, but at the beginning of the year, we've got several Deadlands campaigns and projects and good stuff. And this terrain might make an appearance in there. So anyone else want to avoid Landauer making all the spoilers? Who wants to say we're going to see?
Well, let's save that for its own separate stream, because I want to talk about all kinds of different stuff for that, and I think that'll be fun.
Yes, but yeah, lo and behold, or some phrase. Do not worry, there will be wonderful Deadlands terrain coming in the same style. So we're starting easy with a nice village, and then we're going to take it to the next level with Deadlands.
Yeah,
so,
I think the kind of the basic hut construction is fairly straightforward. It's going to be a good chance for us to test everything, make sure it all works, that we can cut it the way we want to cut it, and then once we get into Deadlands, you're looking at the Weird West. You're looking at a lot more two-story structures and more complicated designs, and so we want to make sure we can deliver.
Yeah. So no gluing required, right? This should be assemble, unassemble, disassemble. We give you extra pins to make sure if you have any pins.
Yeah, there's no plastic bits. Yeah, the hooks are basically similar to the pawn stands that you punch out, and every sheet's gonna have extra ones. So if you lose some, you're not gonna suddenly not be able to build your buildings. Yeah.
But most of it just hooks right together. You don't even need it.
Exactly.
So Shane, awesome. So Shane, I want to ask you about the comic book, the graphic novel. This is a tie-in to a previous graphic novel where we kind of first hinted at how the Weird West and the Dark Ages were connected. So why don't you give us a little bit of background on the Cackler and how that ties in with Merlin's Champions and all that good stuff?
Wow. So I'll go all the way back to the beginning. So in 1996, HBO premiered the Spawn animated series. And that was what I envisioned the Deadlands TV show to be, was something like the Spawn show. It would be adult. It would be something you can only show on HBO. And the treatment I put together for that was that there was this new villain, and he was just real badass, and he was kind of the first Herod. And you would eventually find out, spoiler alert, but it's been a while, so you should know this by now. The Cackler is Mordred, right? And he is trying to bring his mother, who was slain by, well, I don't spoil too much. He's trying to bring his mother forward into the Weird West, right? And in the Cackler graphic novel, he does so. And we have plans for exactly what that means and what's going to happen next. But we had this cool idea, and I'm pretty sure this was a Goff thing, or maybe Goff and I together. I don't recall at this point. But her consciousness is kind of waffling back between the Weird West and the Dark Ages. And she's trying to resolve that. And the plot point campaign in Dark Ages revolves around that, among some other stuff. And the graphic novel for Merlin's Champions for Dark Ages is the story of Merlin. He's still trapped in the Crystal Cave, and he is alert that something is going on with Morgana. He's alert that these things called the Reckoners are awakening, and he empowers some champions to stop it. And you are one of the player characters, almost always will be one of those, which is a hex slinger. So it started off as a paladin, and now paladin is kind of like what they aspire to at the later end of their journey. It's one of their legendary edges, but they're called hex slingers before that. And we did that for a number of reasons, but previous graphic novels are all on our website. The Cackler is the one that you really want for this. But the Hexslinger is empowered by Merlin, and of course she gathers the other characters around her, which is your party. And the Once and Future King plot point campaign that Goff wrote is it's kind of a setup for the transition between Deadlands and the Weird West story-wise. It is heavily influenced by the movie Excalibur, as I've said, and it sets up what we're going to do with the setting after the Morgana Merlin stuff is resolved.
Oh yeah, and the Knights and Smith dinner table have gotten a sneak peek at the Pop Boy campaign, so that comment is a legit one informed. And so we're going to go until like the top of the hour, and then starting at 9 p.m. on the same Twitch TV, twitch.tv/PegInc, the Knights and Smith dinner table are going to run a Deadlands Dark Ages actual play. So you guys can come back after dinner and check that out as well.
Yeah, and for those who are newer to Deadlands, like since the Weird West came out, we've been talking about this Morgana effect, right? A ripple, a shockwave that's been happening because she's kind of got one foot in both worlds. And that's why it's super fun now to kind of start seeing like the other half of what's going on with those ripples, like where it's start coming from and spreading to, you know. So you know, if you've been around in the Weird West for a while, you're like, okay, we know something's going on. Like, but now we kind of get it right to the heart of it, like the meat of it. And it's like, all right.
Well, and I think the coolest thing about the Once and Future King is who the real antagonist is. It's quite a twist. I think you'll like it.
Nice.
Morgana's part of it, but she's not all of it.
Yeah, we wouldn't reveal all the spoilers. The so what's it like seeing kind of this how did this evolve from the initial concepts through over the years, and you know, all the improvements? I mean, we've had you know, the kind of Suede revolution since this was first a thing. So how has this project evolved? I mean, obviously, you know, it sounds like the terrain has come in relatively recently, but a whole lot of work has gone into this over the years, and it looks like people are really appreciating they've been waiting with bated breath, I'll say, because there are 860 backers currently. So thank you guys. That's maybe even a record for our first day. So
thank you for coming. Yeah. Thank you for sticking around.
I would say that, so, you know, Goff wrote the manuscript quite a few years ago, as we said, after Suede, I guess. Just, yeah. So I think, and not much has changed. The Paladin Hexslinger got a different name. The Druid went back and forth. A couple of other things, and things that, you know, we've not all agreed on and had great discussions about, and we're still debating a few things as we finished it up. But more importantly, to those of you who are players, I think the thing that's developed the most is the mechanics of the game. So since we've done Suede and especially Pathfinder, we have a really good handle on what does it mean to play fantasy in our game system. And one of the really cool things that we've been experimenting with is dynamic combat in Dark Ages. We wanted people to move a bit more and kind of knock each other around and keep it a little more fluid. Now, in theater of the mind, everyone's moving around, right? Just like a movie or anything else. But on the game mat, when you're using miniatures, it can look a little
static,
still, right?
Yeah.
Stagnant. And we wanted things to move around a little bit more. So we've messed with that. I think we're like this close to the final version of that. We've done some other stuff that I think you'll really like group tests. Something you've been looking for a long time, where you can test a group without ruining like the rabble rouser edge, which is still super valuable. Yeah. Some little things like that to also move people around.
I think that was part of the driver for the terrain too. One of the reasons we want to have extra stuff to decorate the village with, decorate the tabletop with. Seeing that encourages you to kind of like use that terrain and use the bits and pieces around you, be more creative in your choices.
Yeah. A ledge to push someone off of, a wall to push them into.
Right.
Like, yeah.
And frankly, you know, the way shields and armor work in our game, when you're not a superhero or a Rifts warrior or something, they're pretty tough, right? So Danes, for example, that you run into are pretty tough. A knight in armor with a shield is pretty tough. And having options to push them off of you, to do desperate or wild attacks, to use tests to move them and so forth is a big deal, especially if you're the Skulk, like my wife plays, or a Hexslinger who maybe let too many Danes get on top of her.
Not that that's
or a wimpy little alchemist whose life I must save all the time.
Who I'll encourage constantly. It's like, you know, you could just throw that blast explosion at your feet, you know. The
and that's a really
cannot be selective. Yeah.
Yeah. So alchemists have blast, but they can't be selective with it. So
I haven't found it to be a problem.
He has not. It makes for very interesting little tactics, and especially, you know, whether you're bunched up or spread out. The Mendicant is really good if you're bunched up because he's got a couple of buffs in a small area, but of course that means you're getting hit by area attacks as well. So There's just a lot of stuff in the mechanics of the game that we've learned more and more and more after Sway, Deadlands, Pathfinder, Rifts. At this point, it's tight.
Yeah.
So yes, you mentioned the Skulk and the Mendicant, and I am Skyline. Hey Tyler, what about the SCOP, the Traveling Poet, Singer, Storyteller?
Yeah, so the storyteller is really what we're leaning into, because everyone that plays Deadlands know that storytelling has power, right? Like significant power. But in the SCOP's case, it's not an arcane background, right? Like they don't have magic necessarily. They've got force of personality, they've got charisma, and anyone that's played knows how powerful a taunt with rabble rouser can be, especially when you add in dynamic combat, so it can start moving people around too. And it's like, oh yeah, just being a smooth talker gives you combat options that you wouldn't have had before. And also it's great for convincing villages not to burn your druid at the stake. Yeah, have to have somebody, who can, calm down the churls,
What was I going to ask? I was going to jump with John Doom. So John Doom was second this morning. John and Net Obvious, they always battle it out for who gets to pledge first. And I'll tell you, John, Net Obvious pulled a fast one on you because he pledged for the $12 what's on the first before changing.
No pledge shaming, Chris.
And, they got in on the first one they could see and then changed it. So I'm just saying there's some technique there. But I want my comment on the archetypes. I really love the art for this. I think the art is just a kind of a step above, and I really love the character art. It's very cohesive. I think it matches with the kind of larger illustrations we're doing.
Yeah, so we gotta give a shout out to Bad Moon Studio, who's done 95% of the art for this, and they've just been fantastic to work with. Except for the buckles.
They nailed the buckle in the end.
So yeah, Padre asked, does it double as miniatures terrain?
Yes.
So yes, we've scaled this so all of our pawn sets work at the scale with these terrain, and it works on our gridded maps. So you don't have to throw a map underneath, but if you want to throw a map underneath, you absolutely can. If you want to put it floorless, you can do that too. It is all designed to be eminently useful by the game master. And like we said, like if you want to do a second act, everybody over and you do a little 3-act session, 4-hour game at your house, during a snack or bathroom break, you should be able to set this whole thing up, get it on the table, and then take it down and have no one notice that you're not waiting around or at a convention. It shouldn't be one of those things that you have to really worry about the time commitment for it. So.
Yeah, I would be using pawns if we had them for these characters, but we don't yet. So because I'm into the Dark Ages like a lot of people, so I've got a lot of almost appropriate minis, that kind of work. So we've been using those, and yeah, like they all look really good with the paper terrain. All however you want to use it, you can use it. I will probably take our terrain, and I may reinforce and paint and spruce it up a little bit, like you would a miniature. That's just me. But
and Buff Dragon. So yes, we have a video kind of demonstrating like the size and scale of the terrain. We'd love to have one setting it up with the if we can get it there, it'll be awesome. But if not, we'll have a stream and at a future date where we can actually get some of these and put them together. But they're those videos are very complicated and expensive. So we want to show off how cool they look before we could get the how to put them together for you. But great idea on that one. So I think the time has come to talk about the boomsticks, the guns, the hex guns. How big of a role do the firearms play? I saw a comment kind of off on the Kickstarter. It was one of the ads on like maybe someone thought, oh, maybe I'll remove those and keep it real low fantasy. But what limits those powers? How limited is it? And where did you find the balance on bringing like it's not bringing in the entire Smith and Robards gun catalog into the old, into the Dark Ages. So if that's what you're looking for, that's not what's here. So what is here, and how do you guys find the balance and all that good stuff?
So I would liken them more to magic relics, like usually, and it just like any game, like you don't have to have a Hexslinger as one of the archetypes playing. We just suspect that most people will, because if someone can play a dude with a gun, they're going to play a dude with a gun. Like, I mean, someone's going to want to. But it's not like there's a lot of them. Like, we're like, there's a handful, in Britain scattered around with this magical connection to Merlin. And the people who get their hands on one and can use it are those special people. And there might be opportunities to find more, or, two Hexslingers might cross paths at different points and things could happen. But yeah.
I would also say that as an arcane background, it's one of the most different ones we've ever done. Yeah. It's not traditional. I don't know how much we want to spoil right now, but I think maybe we'll do a feature or something. We're doing the Hexslinger as a preview, right?
Yeah, we are. Yes.
Okay, so that'll be coming out from Drive-Thru. We'll be sending that out as a preview, and it'll show you everything about it. And I think you'll find it's really cool. It's not a typical AB. It doesn't really require casting like you're used to. It just does things a little bit differently, and I think it's really fun. It feels like a gunslinger. And that was a struggle. We started as a standard arcane background, and it never felt right. Like, it worked. It was very functional, but it was like, well, I'm using powers, not shooting a gun. And Shane was like, yeah, that's not right. And so then we tried, mystic powers. And again, it was like maybe too good, but it still wasn't like a gun, and the rest of us are usually like, okay, but like, it's pretty good. And Shane's the one that's like, but it's not right, and keeps keeps trying. And I think something that happened there too was we found that the people who really wanted to play the Hexslinger were a lot of our younger players and maybe less experienced players. And with arcane backgrounds, that tends to be a little more technical, right? You got to know to keep up with PowerPoints and cast at the right time. The action economies is kind of a big deal. And we just saw in the playtest we ran across the country and in our own, those less technical players would struggle with that a bit. So we looked for a way to streamline it. And I think what came out in the end was built on the foundation of what we had from the beginning, but just streamline the mechanics of it. And so, we've been thinking about this stuff since we never ripped off Stephen King's Dark Tower. That was never really in our minds for this. Certainly not mine, maybe somebody else's. But certainly once the movie came out and you saw a lot of the tricks that they did in the special effects, getting some of that vibe, as well as an old film called Equilibrium, which we're all big fans of, John Goff is as well. We wanted that, smooth, almost gun kata kind of thing for the Hexslingers. And we found a way to do that again, you'll be able to see in this preview when it comes out, that I think makes them feel smooth and elegant, and is the right balance between the heavy melee guys with the shield bonuses and the heavy armor, and being able to just whip off a volley of shots and down somebody and not be overly powerful either.
Right.
I played one session of Hexslinger, and it was a ton of fun.
So is it a core class, or do you have to go through hucksters first?
There's no hucksters.
Nice.
No such thing as hucksters. Haven't been invented yet.
Nice. Yeah, Hoyle ain't around.
But actually, so we have Hexslingers in Weird West, right? It's a special edge that's developed on the back of hucksters. So as a continuity lore guy, to me, that is a holdover back to this time, from Hoyle's Book of Games all the way back. And while we didn't originally build it that way, I think the original Hexslinger, if it wasn't Goff, it was Steve Long in one of our books back in the classic days that came up with it. I think Goff added to the lore of it. But to me, this is a smooth transition. It's a cool callback to the days of yesteryear where that tradition existed into, our modern day, gun mages.
So Degenerate with the Dice makes a profound observation that Peg's archetype cards are so darn useful. So we've changed up our policy a bit on this one. We are always including those now. That's kind of a thing where we know that they're so useful that I think that's if you go in for the core book, we throw in the digital, and those are the kind of the first easy add-on to make it better than retail is getting those archetype cards. And I love them. I think they're very handy to bring in new players at convention games or around your tables, or when you have a TPK or kill a couple players. It's just easy to hand them an archetype and say, here we go. So-and-so joins the party.
They also serve that important function of showing you what are characters in this game, right? Even if you want to make your own, you can look at it and go, oh, okay. So, for example, our Hexslinger, the gal who plays it in our group, Jess, wanted a different build of it.
Yeah.
And she took that as the foundation and then went a different way with it. Because, you can do ranged attackers several different ways, with the edge trees and so forth.
And it does make it easy. You're like, I'm just taking the archetype and I'm swapping these two edges for two different edges. Bam.
Yeah.
Super.
We also found, too, that a lot of people don't really know what the Dark Ages is like. So having people who aren't history majors be able to go, oh, I'll play this or that, is very easy. Whereas somebody might say, well, I want to play a knight or a wizard or something that they get from D&D, and this isn't D&D. There's definitely a little bit of that vibe because D&D draws on some Dark Ages stuff, but it is not that kind of fantasy.
Right.
It's the kind of fantasy where the building is on fire and you get pushed into it a lot.
Yeah. Or when someone calls you a wolf's head and it's a specific meaning, right? And you're like, oh, if you're playing the wolf's head outlaw, that's what an outlaw is and should look like and should feel like. And that's different from being a rogue. If I'm a rogue, I'm going to have a cape and be in a city and have a fencing foil. If I'm a wolf's head, it's like, okay, I've probably got an axe and I'm out in the woods and I probably
smell of dead wolves.
Exactly. And I was probably poaching some lord's, some thane's livestock, and now I'm in trouble.
So clearly someone who's a fan of Simon's previous work on Pathfinder and Deadlands, will there perhaps be a Dark Ages themed chase deck down the road?
Not something we've considered so far.
Yeah, there we go. So we'll add it to the list of maybes.
Never say never.
Right. And hey, look, Quincy's showing some appreciation to all you history majors in the chat. And
probably just saying that because he's a history major.
Yeah. So let's see, what other goodness do we need to talk about in this campaign? I've got
what questions have folks asked? I'm trying not to look at the comments because I get distracted so easy. What questions do they have?
We've answered almost all the ones that have popped up, so we are good on those. Although I don't think we're ready to say anything about Noir at this point. So hold your horses on that one.
We have so many plans on so many settings that we will just make people sad and sick if we try to talk about all of it, including ourselves.
Right. This afternoon we were questioning ourselves on, hey, was the 7 years of telling people this was coming the best part of the marketing on this, or maybe not? So in general, we don't want to disappoint anybody, and the production world is in tumult these days. And so I think maybe that's a good one. We'll talk about the bennies, right? So the bennies on this campaign, I'll talk about why we've shifted philosophy on bennies. Bennies are very heavy. They damage stuff in the boxes. They're bulky, so you have physical weight and dimensional weight, which makes shipping anything with bennies in the box, but you have to kind of pad them out more so you don't ruin everything else, much more expensive than it would be. And then about a year and a half ago, our favorite benny supplier, who we go to for the quality stuff, could no longer source the bennies as we like them. So we haven't really found a good replacement yet. So we figured that the best value for you as the customers was to find more thematic themed bennies that kind of saved on shipping and production. So that's
and time
chips. Yeah.
But there were two other reasons too that aren't just about shipping and saving you money. We actually we have a Deadlands starter set on the way, and the bennies that we made, because it comes with token sheets bennies and status tokens and so forth, and they look amazing. I can't wait to show and talk about that. That's actually already at the printer, so I can't wait to talk about it. And as we looked at those, we thought, these are super cool, and we really wanted to do King Alfred coins. Simon can correct me on what they would actually be called, but they're coins with Alfred's likeness on them. And doing those as a poker chip didn't feel quite right, so we're actually doing them, as the cardboard token sheets. So they're actually going to look in theme. They're going to feel better for the game, I think, and be cheaper for you and for shipping and so forth.
I saw a question of the dice hollow. The dice that come in the accessories box are not. They're a standard set of dice, but the dice that come in the conviction box are hollow dice. Yeah.
So Simon, can you show us?
Oh, see, I brought this on myself.
Let's see if we can get you nice and big. Let's see.
I'm trying not to drop or break anything. So this is the sample box that we have of where the conviction dice will be. It's a standard set of dice right now, but as you open it, and your dice are in there. They'll all be D6s rather than a set of gaming dice, but they all sit in. There's like a little cutouts for the dice to sit in so that they don't rock around when you've got it closed.
And we're giving you enough for one each for your party as conviction dice, so you can, roll them with your dice.
Plus an extra one for the GM's favorite.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and you can earn more than one conviction at a time. So,
Yeah, Simon and I saw those the first time at Gamma 2 years ago, and the producer kind of pulled us aside and said, "Hey, I got something here," and they were willing to part with one of them. And then before the end of the show, we convinced them to let us walk with two. So I've got one, and Simon has one, and everybody I've showed them to, 100% jealous, hasn't seen them elsewhere. The cool little raising action is just amazing. So we're gonna do something fun with the art on the side, so it'll be all thematic and awesome. So yeah, and worthy of conviction.
It was, yeah, and the push was because I really wanted more conviction coins, the metal ones like we had on Holler, because I use those in every game I use. Like they're still kind of the best. And when I was pushing for those, that's when the metal dice came up, and it's and Shane kind of connected the dots and was like, well, you roll a D6 for conviction. Why don't you just give them the D6 as their conviction? They keep it until they use it, roll it, burn it. Or whatever.
John Taylor lurking in chat there, the maker of Daryl and I's scruffy prototype.
Yeah, the one who makes us look good.
I just saw John Taylor just popped up. He's done art for us for years, and he's just fantastic. And the stuff he's done for Dark Age is gorgeous. Good to see you here, John.
Yeah.
John may have some other surprises for us in the near future too.
He's one of those real artists, right? That we love to pay. The one good question on how wizard are we getting? Is there a wizard archetype? What's the magic or arcane background levels like? Really cool answer to that. So yeah, where are we at there?
Yes, there are multiple arcane backgrounds, none of whom are particularly magic casters. They're not wizardry. They're not sorcerers or sorceresses. The characters tend to be a lot more gritty, dirty, kind of low level. They're going from village to village, talking to the little people. They're not necessarily the advisor to some thane, like in a, what's barely considered a castle, a fortress or whatever. So, so the mendicant has powers. Not really a sorcerer. The druid has nature-based powers. Not really a sorcerer, though I tried to make them into one, but I got pushed back. And then, the Hexslinger has power points, but works a very different way. And that leaves, there are actual magicians, but they're the ones that are trucking with evil powers, and you do want to burn them at the stake.
I love that choice. I think it's really fun and different, and kind of it fits in with our unique take on where we are in the gaming industry.
And alchemy. Alchemists have powers, but it's all science, quote unquote.
We also have this cool idea, and here this is talking out of school here, and probably shouldn't say it, but hey, Rich, good to see you, buddy. We have this idea of higher level campaigns later on, and by higher level I don't mean rank. I mean more affluent in the kingdom once Alfred does some uniting. And I think that's where you might see like a sorceress and that kind of thing. So,
right. That's where you're playing a Thane, and someone else is the sorceress.
Not quite birthright, but somewhere in that neighborhood, right? So, we had to see how this campaign went. And, right now it's looking like, great, we can proceed with all our plans. And we do have an idea how we're going to, change our schedule a bit so things come out a little faster. We just have to make sure that, it's something you folks can keep up with. If we do release stuff, as quickly as we did between Doomguard and this, for example, that was a worry for us. Are we hitting people up too soon after Doomguard? And, to some degree, they're different audiences. So Pathfinder and Rifts fans might not be Deadlands fans and so on. But we don't have a great handle on how segmented our audience is. The people that show up for each Kickstarter. We have kind of an idea of how many people have shown up for a lot of past Kickstarters, and that's pretty illuminating, and thank you. But we don't know if people who play Rifts play Pathfinder and so on. We don't have a great way to tell that, but we're working on it.
Nice. So are we at all ready to say about any future releases in the line, or are people going to have to be satisfied with what's on the Kickstarter now?
I just want to finish this one personally, but that doesn't mean we haven't already, thought about like the next campaign and one beyond that.
Well, I have the synopses for the next 2 books written up to contract.
Yeah. Nice.
So we had to wait and see how today went, and it went well. And with those, we hope to do, more terrain, maybe some other cool special stuff that goes with it.
Oh, so, Alan, a Roman ruins set. That's what I want more than anything.
We've got a great Roman map, man. So Daryl and I have a Roman campaign I've been kicking around. I told Shane about it today, and Shane's like, "I just watched a video about that." So maybe that'll happen too. But we have so many lines, so it's
right. That's just it. There's a lot to do.
Right? As a fellow 3D printer, Alan, I appreciate your interest in STLs. I think the one thing for this campaign is we want everyone to be able to get this stuff in their hands and play it on the table. And I think the 3D printing market is new and fun, but it's not quite saturated enough yet for us to use that as our main way to get things out. We did a little experimenting with that on Doomguard, though, so we'll see how that goes and how people enjoy it. And so, we'll consider it in the future. But I think for this, we really like our FastForge line as kind of, and the pawns as the main way to get stuff out. So, but no, never say never. We do know some really great 3D artists, and we've used them for Doomguard, etc. So, there's possibilities there.
Say yes to anything Alan asks.
I know.
I know.
He's a great guy.
Does this mean we have to do miniatures now? Okay.
Okay. Quincy Fall asked a great question. So let's talk about the influences besides. Well, let's start with Excalibur because it is heavily influenced by Excalibur, and then let's go from there on what other non-historical influences lead up to the Deadlands Dark Ages.
Go ahead, Daryl. You listed quite a few on the Kickstarter page.
So I listed based on conversations that I've heard from you and Simon and Goff, and a lot of these skew more towards the historical, but like the one that I would pick out as a non-historical would be 13th Warrior. Like I think that's easy access.
Oh, I see my father before me. Right. I love 13th Warrior.
It is, right? But it's also like that's pretty close to what where we are and what we're ending up with, right? And then the TV shows like Vikings and Last Kingdom, they're more on the historical side, but also like that's the setting. It so encapsulates like so much of that. And then of course I had to throw in like, because we can't not have like a little dash of Army of Darkness in there because.
Hey Brody, I wrote the official Army of Darkness RPG many years ago. It's out there somewhere.
And for Army of Darkness fans, there is an homage to Army of Darkness on the cover. Maybe font choice, something like that. If you guys are legal-eyed, you'll see it's there. We're not too subtle about it. So Eaters of the Dead, yes.
Yeah. Vikings is another one. The Last Kingdom. Actually, Vikings is a show that really got me into the era, the historical era. I think that's just a fantastic show. But Excalibur from an early age.
And now Simon's got to school us all.
Yeah, you have to watch the Holy Grail. That's where.
I mean, there is a holy hand grenade on the cover of the graphic novel. I'm just saying, it's there. Do we have to put that on screen?
But I am old enough that I watched Excalibur. So when I was about 16 years old, my parents got HBO. And one of the first movies I ever remember seeing on there was Excalibur. And you may not believe me, but there was a PG version and an R version. And I was allowed to watch the PG version for a while and then finally saw the R. But, as a 16-year-old, that was an incredibly impressionable movie. And I've rewatched it many times since. And I think what's so great about it is it's the story of King Arthur, but it's also told like a fairy tale, right? And even the filming, it's a very soft, fuzzy film that looks a little dreamlike. Merlin's dreams are our dreams. It's just amazing, and it's just so atmospheric, and that's one of the things we wanted for this. That said, I think the Once and Future King plot point campaign leads heavily into that, and then beyond that, the books that we have planned will take on a little different tone as they embrace different areas of the story of Dark Ages, in particular Deadlands Dark Ages.
And Shane's had a crush on Helen Mirren ever since.
Who hasn't?
She's great in Mobland recently too.
Oh yes. I love her in Red. She's just great as the sniper.
Yeah,
awesome. Well, we only have a couple minutes left, folks. So last minute questions, throw them in the comments of whatever platform you're watching them on. And right, even Lore Master agrees. So we'll get those up. But this has been an amazing first day for a campaign. We are so thrilled you have come out in force for this. So I think we'll have to be back to talk more about the Dark Ages before the final live stream. Probably do one more of these. And Red was pretty excellent.
Yeah. One thing I want to bring up while we've got Simon here, because who knows if we'll be able to drag him into another one, right? And I joke about this, but actually there's a underlying seriousness about this. It's like one of the things that makes Dark Ages like different from certain from other medieval stuff is we have an honest to God British person like on staff
from the Dark Ages.
Possibly, right? But he's been so good. Like you say, John did meticulous research, and Simon's also just steeped in the stuff and will catch like little things. And some of the things that I have learned, like I'm just a history minor, like a mere beginner in all this, right? But some of the things that I have learned in making this just crack me up. With my favorite of all time, one of our playtesters noted, like on our equipment, we had like a cob of corn. And they very rightly pointed out, like, well, they wouldn't have corn yet because like this is 877 and corn is an American crop and wouldn't come back over until like the 1600. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. We should get rid of that. And then Simon's like, what? Corn's wheat. I'm like, wait, what?
Crazy Americans.
Right, yeah.
We had a long discussion about corn is wheat and wheat is corn that, it read pretty much like a who's on first play. It was hilarious and very confusing.
But I wanted to just reiterate what a great job John did with the research. When I came to go through the manuscript for Englishing it, he'd done most of the work. And so the things that I really wanted to do was to try and add some stuff that was to explain that this isn't D&D, as Shane said, right? So most people think of it, they think of high fantasy castles and knights and taverns with like, half timbering and stuff. And so trying to add some of that to explain to GMs and players, like, no, think way earlier, way crappier. Everything's dirty. And nobody has anything that's going to last long.
So your life experience fits. It's great.
Yeah, nothing has changed.
So yeah, folks, again, this is a great campaign. We have much more in store for the rest of the year. Some really fun licensed projects that are going to be big and exciting that we'll probably get closer to announcing and here in the future, not tonight. And but one question from Steve, who might have actually come to our last Deadwood event: will there be another Deadlands in Deadwood, South Dakota? So we would love to come back to South Dakota, but our plan for next year is a big event in Arizona. So keep your September, October kind of window. We're going to decide on dates real quick here, but we just found something fun in October that we're seeing if it's going to be worth moving out of September for. So we will decide on dates relatively quickly, but we are going to ring in the 30th anniversary of Deadlands in style, and you can all come out, hang with us in person, and do a lot of really fun things are on the menu. So yeah, that's a big thing. And then we're going to do another Halloween. So keep a lookout for next Tuesday's newsletter. We'll do another virtual convention this Halloween, kind of over that Halloween weekend. So game masters who play on VTT or over VoIP or any of those kind of things, get your games ready, and we'll give you some instructions on how to submit, and then we'll open those up for players to join. So we'll celebrate Halloween once again. And yeah,
just want to quickly answer. Venkel put a question in chat there. Are the buildings double-sided or single-sided printed? They're printed in 2 sides, and you'll be able to flip and reverse them to get different looks.
Nice. Any other questions I missed? Let's see. Oh, yep, Steve was there. Hey, Steve. And oh yeah, Steve showed everybody. Yeah, Steve was like an unofficial tour guide. He showed everybody around all the kind of the cool sites from. That was very fun. So thanks, Steve, for making that an even more fun event. But yeah, join us in Arizona. It's not too far of a flight or drive. And let's see. Oh, we definitely are ready to announce Carrying Crown. So Mike is doing the final touches on Doomguard, and then JM DeFogie helped out a little with the Doomguard RPG, and he's going to be helping out a little bit with the Pathfinder going forward. So between those two, Carrying Crown is going to be the next project. It's very Halloween-y themed. So I won't give you a date, but I'm just saying it's very Halloween-y themed and Halloween-y, whatever. It's spooky seasoned. So yeah, Carrying Crown is going to be a good one. And I think, speaking of our deluxe, wonderful, double-sided, full-color, nicely arted front and different back pawns, Paizo never did pawns for Carrying Crown, and we've been they graciously reprinted their pawns for our last campaign, Crimson Throne, and then we used just their pawns for Rise of the Rune Lords, but they didn't have pawns for Carrying Crown. So an exciting spoiler here today, only for you guys, is that we're going to do pawns for Carrying Crown, and so it'll be the first time those are available. So you Pathfinder fans out there, you can pick those up too, so you can get in some Carrying Crown goodness. And
but first, play some real history.
right. So yeah. Oh, so the good thing too is, so folks, if anyone's worried about pricing, there is a very cool thing about this campaign. Kickstarter in the last couple of months has rolled out pay over time pricing. So our $200 level is available for Kickstarter's pay over time. So I believe that it's 4 equal payments. So
I think you can
get
do
away
3 at 66.
That's 3. Okay.
66.
Oh, okay. Satan. So
don't get burned on the stake.
Over time is available, so if you would like to take advantage of that, that is a way to be a little easier on the budget and pick up both Carrying Crown and Dark Ages while you're here. So, and then we will have a pledge management for both of them. So, do get a physical level if you want physical, because it's so much easier to upgrade from physical to physical than it is for us to upgrade you from digital to physical. So, or otherwise, if you're overseas like Padre, all in digital for both. We appreciate you guys too. Lucky too, you'll get your rewards a little bit earlier because, like all campaigns. Vinny the Mage confirms it's 3. So I guess it's 3 easy payments on that. So that's a great option. And then for those of you who are joining us for the first time, because there are some amazing first-time customers, Pinnacle usually does a pretty good job of at the end of the campaign. So the campaign's going to run for about 4 weeks, and then it'll take a couple weeks for Kickstarter to charge cards. Before they give us the final list of who our backers and what levels they've chosen. When we get that list, we can start dishing out our digital rewards. And what we do as a company is we'd love your feedback. So we'll, for things that make sense, right? So like the graphic novel, that's pretty polished and done. But for like the role-playing game book, we'll release that for a few weeks for a beta playtest. You can read through it and play through it, and we'll take your feedback and incorporate that into the final product. But so you'll be usually getting those access to those within about a month, a little bit more from the end of the campaign. So it's September now, and so that means you might be able to get some Dark Ages playing in before the end of the year with your digital rewards. So we're excited for that. Thank you, John Doom, for being excited about the campaign. We appreciate you, buddy. And Trevor, we are very excited too. It's been a long time in the wait, and I think it's been worth it. We're all super excited that we've been able to get this one out to your tables as well. And
we haven't journeyed to Strathclyde yet, but we might.
Yeah, right. Vinny,
I can't pronounce it.
I think that you guys have been so good to us. I don't think we're going to hold back on the pay over time, people. Just don't try to abuse it. But I think we'll give you the preview with everybody else. So just don't cancel. That'd be great. And then let's see. Jason, no planned stretch goals right now. I think we got a pretty great offer, we got a great price point, and we didn't want to fall into the trap of giving too much too soon. So we just picked it like what would I want on the table. We put all of it in there. There are some fun extras. Kind of the stretch goals are already unlocked. So that really cool Excalibur item card that is, we got a lot of really great feedback on our foil laminated wanted cards for that Daryl thought up and Simon created for the Lost Colony campaign. And so along that vein, you got a really
I got to give Donald credit for those. Those were Donald's idea.
Nice. So Don, thank you. All in Ireland, you might be up already. You're still awake. And those dice are pretty cool. So we're kind of focusing on those. Is hey, why wait to unlock those when folks can get them right off the bat? So I'm pretty sure all of our stuff is set. But hey, it's a big campaign. But I think anything else that'd be cool we want to do, we'll save for our future campaign. So thank you on that one. Let's see, anything else good to go? Okay, cool. I think we've done our hour. I think we've answered most of the questions, guys. We'll be back. And tariffs and stuff like that. So right now we don't.
I think Shane has to leave, but I can talk about that a little bit if you like.
Okay. Later, Shane.
Bye, everybody. Thanks.
So the price won't be altered by tariffs. There was an earlier question I saw from Lawmaster that was asking about if it changed the materials that we were using. So it hasn't changed anything about this campaign at all, other than in the backer portion of it, in the pledge manager portion of the campaign, there will not be the option to add on anything you want from our warehouse. We're going to try and get all of this shipped direct from the manufacturers to backers, which will reduce the price, cuts out tariffs altogether for the most part. So even
that though, we decided was an opportunity, because we're like, look, if you want the stuff that you would normally have stacked onto the campaign, it's available right now. Just buy it. And we've got the deal going where if it's more than $100 worth of stuff, it ships free, which was the only reason to bundle it in the first place. So you don't have to wait. Just if you want something else, go get it now. And then this can all come from the manufacturer. Sorry, I didn't know.
So it as far as everything is working right now, tariffs will not have an impact on it for any backers.
Yeah, and we've got the, just in case the world explodes and changes, we do charge shipping later during the pledge management phase, right before we end up shipping. So we do our best to give good faith estimates, and we think we'll be close to those, but just in case anything changes, and we've got a very good policy. So if anything changes and the shipping is too expensive, we offer full refunds. So no worries there on that. So we love that you guys want our physical, and we want the physical too, right? Like it is, the group we play test every week. Playing in person, going to conventions is a big part of what we see as the value in the hobby. So we'd love it when you guys get the physicals. We're going to make that as easy as possible. And I think we're a pretty economical kind of company in general. Like we try to keep the price points, very favorable compared to the price like some other folks have to do. But if things majorly change, we'll definitely give you guys enough announcements to make some good decisions on that. But Simon has been burned so many times over the last couple of years. We've gotten really good at avoiding the biggest pitfalls. So I feel good about this one so far.
So far.
Yeah, I was saying so far. And the worth noting, right? It's Simon that got burned, not our customers. So there's a precedent there.
Right? That is true. So yeah, and someone else had a really good question about kind of what other Savage settings might be getting the reworked in these. So, the ones we could talk
All
about.
Of them.
Well, right, there's nothing that we've killed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, here's one that's not happening anytime soon, but that Simon and I both love, like Rippers. That's gonna have to happen sooner or later.
You say anytime soon, and yet I've seen the schedule, and it's ambitious.
No promise.
The majority of the work has already been done on making that suede. It's just we got to finish it, and so that's the finishing is takes a lot longer than most of the rest of the work.
It does, and this is the drumbeat that you'll see from us a lot lately. Is we have a lot of promises out there that we need to fulfill before we really get into something new. And it's like, have you been thinking about this? Yes. We got a billion things that we want to do, but we got to get the work done, and we'll get it done as fast as we can.
Yeah, Spilly asked a good question about writing for Deadlands. So we're the only ones who published the material. So if you're interested in doing an adventure, usually start with a one-sheet submission, and Jody's got a really great answer for that.
You send them to me.
Yep. Yeah, but we don't generally farm Deadlands out to any other aces or licensees. That's kind of the one that's very in-house. But we do welcome contributions from writers. So
yeah, and because if you do want to do a one-sheet, right, don't do it, pitch it. Send to the email. They'll get it to me. I'll reach out to you, give you like some basics, see what your plan is. We'll talk. Then we'll get a contract. Don't do anything without a contract. Anyone, this is advice for, and then we'll get you started. Depending on how things go, it might lead to a fulfilling and lucrative career in game design.
Right?
Or you might get a job working in games.
So yeah, Nothario, our next expedition is Expedition Superstition Mountains. It'll be fall of 2026 to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Deadlands. I'm trying to get us on a boat still, but it will not be a cruise.
It's Arizona. You don't have boats.
There might be. I mean, I found like the only boat in Arizona.
There is one, I guess.
No promises. But yeah, so we're gonna do a crew, a physical expedition event. Looking at some fun, the kind of expedition-y stuff like jeep tours, historical, go to a mine, panning, all that kind of fun stuff. So, but also lots of games and a nice air-conditioned hotel space.
Yeah. I'm here for the games and the air-conditioned stuff because you go into the Superstition Mountains, they are cursed. You will die. Like that's no joke.
Or you can find the Lost Dutchman mine and become incredibly wealthy and spend it all starting at Tabletop RPG Company.
Odds are you'll disappear and be found without a head. Don't do it.
Awesome. So the best process is one, go to pegging.com and download the we've got a guide that describes what we want in writing. We call it the style guide. So Google style guide on pegging.com, download that, use that, read it, and then
reach out to info@PegInc and they'll start the communications and get you to who you need to talk to, which will end with me. So if you get to me, it happened right.
Right, and Jody's got the thing pegging.com is about, and she's throwing Daryl under the bus. So
it's fine. It's my job, everybody.
Right. Also, we look forward to your contributions. Again, everybody, thank you for the amazing first day. I mean, just for the posterity, let me throw this up. We are at 105, 319, 893 backers. We're going to hit 900 backers today. That is so crazy. Info@PegInc for any issue. Customer service, Christine and Sarah are amazing. They are the first line of defense at info@PegInc and .com. But yeah, this is fantastic, folks. Really, thank you so much. Can't believe we're going to get to 900 backers in the first day. That's a really great number. So other than that, we'll let you guys get off to your evenings. Come back here in 45 minutes on twitch.tv/PegInc for a Deadlands Dark Ages actual play by the lovely folks at Knights of the Smith Dinner Table. They've got a little preview copy, and I'm excited to see what they've done with it. So, yeah, go get some dinner, take a bathroom break, force the peasants off your land, or go raid a church. But come back in 45 minutes and watch the Deadlands Dark Ages actual play. And thanks, folks. Again, if you want to help us on the campaign, share on socials what you love about Deadlands Dark Ages or what you're looking forward to, so your friends know that you are a Dark Ages awesome person / nerd as well. And get them to back the campaign too. So appreciate all you game masters and players out there. Oh, and hey, we didn't even talk about, there's an exclusive player's book with a Deadlands Dark Ages Undead King Arthur on the cover that you can only get through this campaign. So for all of you
something,
right? So
spoilers.
I mean, it's awesome. All of you completionists, or if you just have lots of players or you love our players books as we love them, there's a new variant on this campaign. So pick that up too. That's a new and exciting thing that we forgot to mention. So anyways, folks, go play some Savage Worlds this weekend or this week. Have some fun. Thanks for the support for the campaign, and we will see you soon. Take it easy.
Bye, everyone.